Hello, Reetta.
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for talking to me today. And where are you coming from today? Where are you now?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm talking from Helsinki, Finland, which is where I live and where I'm based and where I make work. So here we are.
Great.
In my flat in Helsinki.
Lovely. So you are a theatre maker and director, and we had the pleasure of having you at Physical Fest, the last festival actually, 2019, with a brilliant workshop and an extract of your show, which I can't remember the title of right now.
Hypnagogia.
Hypnagogia, yeah, which was really beautiful, which has gone on to develop into a full-length piece. And yeah, we're talking to different artists that we've really liked as part of the festival over the years, and just interested in talking about your creative process, and wonder if you could tell me a little bit about that, what that is for you, what that means for you.
Yeah, sure. I actually always feel like when I'm thinking or talking about my creative process, I always feel like this is like the most obvious thing to go through, but I don't know if it is. And at the same time, I always feel like, well, it is actually really magical. All those processes of making work, like I think they're really magical, and like kind of, because like when you're standing in front of it, like before it happens, it always feels like kind of impossible, or you don't know how it's gonna pan out. It feels, you don't know where the work comes from, but then looking back at the process, it feels very obvious. Like, of course, that's how it came about, and that's how it had to happen. So obviously, every piece is different, and like every process is slightly different. But I'm finding very strong sort of similarities with each project. So I think the sort of initial thing for me always is that it somehow it comes from a very sort of strong need to make the work. So like and often something very personal. So like a personal need to express something, or to get something off my chest, or to move on, or to let go of something, or so it's something quite deep, something quite personal, and it's a feeling most of the time. And it's, yeah, the work often comes, or always comes from like a feeling of urgency, like I need to do it. And before I feel that urgency, I find it very difficult to start. But the urgency always comes, and once I've got it, it's very clear that this is what I need to do, and this is the only thing I was sort of born to do, and it's like I have no questions. But yeah, that's just to say that like it has to, I have to feel that absolute need to make the work, like to the extent of like, well, if this was the last piece I ever made, this is it, like this could be it. So yeah, something very personal, and like so often my shows on one level are very autobiographical, but or the starting point is autobiographical, and then it grows from there. And connected to that need, or that sort of that place inside, there's like, I feel like it's like a pre-verbal place, or like a place of intuition, or like I can connect to an atmosphere, or like a feeling that I'd like to have in the show. So those sorts of things, that atmosphere, or that feeling, or that kind of place inside, that's the sort of first kernel of the work, and I try to hold on to that until the end, or I often do, always do. So I sort of that's something that I sort of keep tapping back into. And then the sort of next stage is like starting to dream up what that might look like on stage, like what is the sort of physical and visual manifestation of that feeling, or that atmosphere, or those colors, or those textures. And and very early on, I like to make quite strong sort of decisions about the, I guess that like the limitations that I'm going to be working with. So I choose, in effect, I choose limitations. So something to kind of press against, or like something that will guide the work. So often it's to do with like, what do I want on stage? So who do I want to make the work with? Like how many people are going to be there? Who are those people? I start with very concrete questions, like, so how many people, who they are, which exact people are they? What do they wear? What have I got on stage? What, like, so I start with matter. I start with people and the matter. So I make choices about like what kind of a set is there, or what's the sort of central image or the central idea in terms of matter. Is it a costume, or is it a big puppet, or is it a certain is it 6 desks, or is it tilted furniture? And then that initial decision, I let that guide the work all the way through. So I think I'm like a believer in limitations, because if you can, if you can create anything, if everything is open, you end up doing nothing. So I sort of, the first thing that I create is like a structure, a form, or like a framework for the show, and that's like connected to those initial sort of initial feelings about what it is that I'm doing. But often, so those kind of decisions, they can come before I really know what the show is about. So I know the atmosphere, I know the feeling of it, or the feel of it, I know who I'm making it with, I know what's on the stage, and then I might not be able to verbalize exactly what the theme is, but I know intuitively. And then, so after that, I might have like a few sort of R&D sessions with the performers, and then I go on to do research and prepare for the sort of actual period of rehearsals. And the research can be anything really, but like it can be reading plays or reading books, watching documentaries, watching films, anything, or like going to museums. It could be anything. And with that, it's like I'm trying to get things, find things in the world that connect to that initial thing that I had, that find, or like, how can I say, like, okay, this play has something of that atmosphere, or this book reminds me a little bit of that thing that I'm searching, or like, it's like I'm trying to find bits and pieces in the world that connect to that feeling. Yeah. And then the next stage is then, of course, like the actual rehearsal process. And when I go into the rehearsal room, there's quite a lot that I want to have ready already. So I want the actual set, I want the actual costumes, I want the real people that are going to be there until the end. So I know I've made a lot of decisions by this point, and I know the framework of it. I know where we're going, but I don't know the way there. Mm-hmm. I might have created some choreography already. I might have created some things on my own, some things with the performers, and then we start making material for the show. And I find, like, more and more I'm finding that the more I prepare, and the more so the better my research and my preparation is, the easier time I have in the rehearsal room. Because so movement material, like, for me, comes from different ways, but like for example, if I'm getting performers to improvise or try something out for me, the stronger the theme is in me, the easier I find it to recognize it in other people, or like in the material that they're suggesting. So I find it much quicker to kind of go, okay, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, go more in that direction, or that's what we'll grab onto. Or so yeah, more and more I'm like trying to allow more time for that research kind of period of the process. And then so then we're in the rehearsal room, and I sort of feel like I operate on two levels at the same time. So there's the level of like knowing intuitively where the piece is going, and kind of the level of creating meaning, and the level of that kind of initial need to make the work, and that the level of, I don't know, our souls, or something, some people might call it spiritual, or something, the level of intuition anyway for me, where it's difficult to put everything into words. It's difficult to absolutely explain every single thing about what I'm trying to create. So that's one level. And then the other level that I'm kind of, that I have in the room, which is what I focus on day to day, is the actual very concrete, very specific tasks that we're doing. So are we learning a choreography, or are we creating a choreography? Is it an improvisation task that I'm giving, or is it like, so it's something often mechanical, it's something technical, it's something very concrete, often to do with the matter that we have in the room. And so on the surface level, it looks like we're doing something very mechanical, I suppose. And then if you step back and look at it, you see the other level of like it creating meaning. So I jump between those two, but the way that I communicate with the performers is often on that level of, or in that area of like the specifics, and then opening up, of course, the other kind of level, or the other area as well. So I think for me, it's like really important to feel that the people that I have in my team understand both of those things, so that they are comfortable working with absolute like specifics and details and very detailed choreography, but that they understand that it's connected to something much bigger, that it's only a tool, or that it's a key into something, and the real thing is the meaning of it all. And I think I sort of enjoy like I enjoy having a connection with the other artists, which is also on that level of intuition a little bit. So I find it that it's important to be able to verbalize things and to make things concrete. So you have something to grab onto. But I enjoy this feeling that, okay, there's a deeper understanding between us, which we can't completely put into words, and we don't have to. And for me, that's where the work really is born from. And I always work with same designer. So I have a lighting designer and a sound designer that I always work with. And with them, I think I've created maybe 5 shows or something like this. So show by show, the sort of mutual understanding gets deeper and deeper. And I love it that we work side by side, and we actually talk very little. I don't explain myself very much. Like I do in the beginning, and I explain myself through what I do in the rehearsal room and through the material that I create. And then I trust that them sitting next to me, they see what's kind of what's happening in front of them, and that they intuitively tap into that and kind of create their own point of view, or like their own addition to what's happening. So I really enjoy that relationship of absolute trust in their art form, and creating a dramaturgy together, really. So yeah. And then because I make shows without any words, and it's all based on movement. So the movement comes from different sources. So one is from the matter that I have on stage. Like, how can you move with this stuff that we have? What does it provide? That what can you do with it that you can't do without it? How can it extend your movement in a way that you can't move without it? Or what is the limitation that it's giving you, and how deep can you dig into that limitation? So that's one way for me to create movement. And then another one is like tapping into that feeling or that atmosphere that I'm trying to create, or that urgency or whatever, and then improvising from that, improvising movements, and then for myself, I'm making a choreography for everybody, for example, or giving tasks to performers. And the tasks could be anything from like, I have a visual idea of, I'd like to see a scene that moves like a carousel, but how everybody moves in that carousel, how we create it, it's up to us. But and the route that people make for themselves is up to them. But like that, I'll absolutely hold on to the idea of the carousel, and this is how it absolutely has to look like, or the kind of the laws of a carousel. Let's dig into that. Or another way is just to get people to improvise whatever. Just sometimes I need to see, I just need to see you in that space with that stuff on stage. Yeah. And then I'll recognize, like, I'll know when we are close to the theme, because that's the feeling, that's the color, that's the texture, that's the I don't know, the vulnerable expression in you that I'm looking for, or something like that. So it's yeah, at the same time I feel it's really concrete and kind of almost banal and really obvious, and then on one level it's like that banality is like a key into something much bigger than us.
Yeah, there's so much in what you're saying I can relate to myself. Yeah, it's really, really interesting to hear, because you don't often hear people really talk about, you know, how they work, and yeah, so much there that's really interesting. And from seeing, you know, quite a few of your pieces as well, that it's really interesting that you start so strongly with very clear image and very clear what the people that you want and the stuff that you want, and because it's so visually strong, and you know, incredible images. And I was wondering as well, because you have been in a lot of your pieces, haven't you? And I can relate as a director with a lot of the stuff that you're saying about working in the room, and those times where, you know, it's the sort of, we have to create, in a way, a banal, put this together, a choreography, but actually, you know, it's really important that it's so connected to the deeper theme and idea that you're talking about, and working with people that understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was interested in how you do that with being in the piece yourself, as well as being from the outside, and if that's something that you'll carry on with, or like, or you feel will change in your work.
I feel like that's either it's shifting for me at the moment, or it's something that keeps shifting back and forth. We'll see. But right now I'm more interested in being outside and directing, and I definitely see that that's much simpler, much simpler, and it's much quicker, because I find that I do feel that it's possible to be in a piece and to direct it, and sometimes with some pieces that I've made, I feel like that's what needed to happen. but I do feel like it brings us another set of challenges that you have to be able to solve somehow. So either it's because it's very time consuming. So if you want to be, I don't know, if you want to be in every single scene, then you need a lot of time, because you need to be able to rehearse the scenes and also to see them from the outside. So you need, I don't know, you need a clever way of either a stand-in or videos, and then you stop and watch the videos, but that's very time consuming, of course. So yeah, it's definitely something that you need to solve, or that you're working with people that you know very well, or that you've worked with a lot, and that you have a shorthand or something. But the other way I've sort of experienced it is that it can also, like if I'm in the show myself, like it can also be a way into structuring the show. So it can be, so for example, the desk, which I made in 2017, and so it's an ensemble piece with 6 performers, and I'm one of them. But my role in it was very, so it was in effect, it was like 5 against 1, or most of the time there were 5 people on stage, and then sometimes I was on stage. So that was a way around it. But yeah, it's different. It's definitely a challenge that you have to be able to solve. And I think, yeah, I don't know, like that's again, it's connected to my sort of personal need. Like previously I felt a need to be in a show, or in the show that I was creating, and my first, like my initial reason for directing was that I wanted to perform in shows that I wasn't seeing, and like I wanted to create shows that I wanted to perform in. But now that's sort of shifted for me, and I don't know if that's like that this is a direction that I keep going into, or if it's like something that sort of keeps changing back and forth. But right now I'm like, the last show that I made, I was only the director for, and I wasn't even the producer for. So that was like, I only had one person's job on it, and it was heaven. It was so brilliant to just put all of my energy into that, and I definitely see the benefits of that. And it's so much easier, I would say. But then it's difficult to say, because every process is different, and every show is different, and so many things affect the end result. The team around you affect it so much, or the resources that you have, or the circumstances. Everything affects it so much. So, and yeah, I don't know. I sort of see the whole thing as like every show, if I put them next to each other, and if I see it as a sort of linear line, I sort of see like, yeah, it's what needs to happen. So I feel like I keep digging show by show. I keep going into something that I need to do, like deeper and deeper into something, and these are little stepping stones, or it's something that needed to happen.
Yeah, and so I guess, like, thinking about now, this the crazy time we've all been living in and living through, and still going on. How do you feel like your work might change, or your processes might change going forward?
Well, one thing that I've learned with the pandemic is that, or the one thing that I'd like to take with me is that I want to allow myself a lot more downtime with the creative processes, and a lot more time for, between shows, like time to kind of mourn the end of a project and to come down from that, and then allow myself time to feel empty, and then to find the next thing again. And I always feel like that's quite a rushed process, and it's very difficult to find funding for that huge chunk of my work, which is the time between shows when I'm not in the rehearsal room. But I feel that it's so necessary the time when you feel like you're not doing anything, but when things are really happening in you. And I feel like somebody said in a really clever way, maybe Anne Bogart or somebody, that the only way to sort of develop your practice and to let your practice grow is by growing as a person yourself. And if you never have time and space to grow as a person, how can you sort of grow your practice? So yeah, that's something, because like for me it's been really amazing to have all this time for myself and to sort of connect with myself and to sort of have really deep thoughts and feelings about things and grow, just grow and shift and to then bring that into my work. I think, so that's something that I want to sort of honor in the future as well. Give more space for that, the ebb and flow of the creative process. It's not always so rushed and so kind of product driven.
Yeah, but I totally relate to that as well. And it can really become like that. And I think, I mean, I found a bit, at times been trapped into that, which then completely affects what you make. And then, that space, I think, is very difficult. Firstly, obviously, because of funding for us to find, you've got these people, this amount of time, and but it's so important.
Yeah.
Because once it starts to become like this sort of machine of productivity, it's really, totally rates that. And Anne Bogart came up in the last interview as well. So
oh really? Oh, amazing.
Funny, everybody mentions her. And hope and let's hope that I those changes will happen, like that you manage to take that space, because I think we have to own it a little bit more, don't we, and go, no, actually I really need this.
Yeah, and I think, well, funding structures are very different in different countries, but like in Finland anyway, I could very easily write those things into my funding applications. Whether I get funding for them or not, at least I'm saying it, like, this is the actual work that happens. This is like, I need, such and such a length of time to rest. Just to rest, or like not know what I'm going to start with, or
because I think, I don't know how you feel, but in a process is so intense that it's almost like triple time, it's and even just to digest what's happening one day and then go in the next day, it's like
and to deliver, just keep delivering. It's like I sort of feel like it's like breathing. If you only breathe out, you're going to run out of breath. You're not going to have anything to say, or you can't just keep breathing out. You need to breathe in as well. You need to take the world in. But also, if you think about breathing, there's also the gap between an in-breath and an out-breath. You need to stop sometimes. So, but like, I think it can be like I think it's something that as artists we can maybe little by little start to change for ourselves and for each other, the culture of like how we talk about our work and what we sort of expect of ourselves and of each other.
And where that kind of the ideas or inspiration come from, in most people say in terms of there needs to be a space for that to happen, which is difficult to kind of explain, I suppose, as well, isn't it? And what's next for you?
So during the pandemic, I've actually made some work which has been amazing. So we made a show that is ready to go. So hopefully we'll get to perform it in September. So that's next. So it's like just hanging there. It's on the shelf, ready to go. And it's a piece that was commissioned from me by this Finnish dance company, Gruppen 4, and they wanted to work with the physical theatre director. So we made a show called the Soiree, and it's a show with where my sort of initial idea, my research was all on like absurdist playwrights and Beckett and stuff like that, and the world that these four people live in is like a dusty old secluded place with tilted furniture. So all the furniture, there's like quite a bit of furniture on stage and everything's tilted, and that's kind of the research, the movement research that we did, like how can that affect everything that we do, this tilted place. And in that show, actually I work with, because I have some reoccurring themes in my work, so some things that I'm sort of not done with yet, or that keep fascinating me. So in that piece that happens as well. So there's again a group of people who live in isolation and like a secluded place, and for some reason they or a reason that's not explained in the show, they don't go outside, or they are afraid of the outside world. So that's like a theme that I'm often really fascinated by. And then the other one is like power hierarchies and power structures and power games between people. So that's something that is in that show as well. So that's next, like just getting to perform that show is next. And then I'm also in the sort of initial planning stages of the next show, which is going to be with an ensemble of physical theatre performers who I've been teaching Corporeal Mime for like on and off for quite a few years. And there's going to be about 7 or 8 people on stage, which is a large show to self-produce, of course. But like that's a show that so in terms of the process, I'm in that stage of like, okay, what is my need for this? What is the urgency? Why this show? If this is the last show that I ever make, what is it? So yeah, so those things.
That's really, I'm going to take that one. I'm trying. This is the last show I ever make. That's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just to end with a few just quick kind of questions. Who is your greatest inspiration?
I always struggle with this question because
you could say like Jamie Wood said yesterday, he said, oh no, she said 10 people really quickly. I was like, that's fine.
Yeah, because I don't really have artistic role models anymore. I find I did when I was a little bit younger, but I'm finding more and more, like I'm really interested in other people's work, but I don't. Sorry, this is a really long answer to your quick question. But I think my biggest inspiration is like real people around me and real people in my life and the real world. Yeah.
Yeah, great. You kind of touched on this, but when are you most creative?
When there's no pressure. Oh, hang on. Yeah, when
where actually as well. That's quite. What space?
Either on my own when there's no pressure and when I'm not expecting it, and when to myself I look like I'm not doing anything. That's when certainly I am creative. But also I've got to say, in the rehearsal room with people, I do sort of light up. I feel really creative, and when I see people moving and when I sort of get my hands on that, that's where I feel very creative.
Nice. Who or what keeps you going?
Ooh.
That's quite wide, I know, but however you take that.
I think a dream of a better world keeps me going. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And a naive belief that it's getting better. It's getting better all the time. This is getting. My optimism keeps me going.
Great. Yeah. And have you got like a favorite memory of performing? A particular place, space, or moment?
I loved performing at Edinburgh Fringe. That was really fun, and playing the same show every day for such a length of time. That's quite rare for a self-producing company in Finland anyway. Like tours tend to be quite short. So that was really, really amazing. And then connecting with the audience afterwards, that was really nice. But yeah, I think probably my dearest memories of performing from like when I was a child, or when I was young, or like when that need to perform was a bit stronger maybe than what it is now. Like I feel like, or maybe I still feel it actually, like on stage, when it's those moments that are absolutely amazing, I feel so free, and I feel so kind of unlimited by anything that I feel limited by in my real life. Like I feel on top of the world. I feel like I can control reality. So yeah, that's very powerful. For that few minutes or whatever, I can decide what happens.
Yeah, and it's so, yeah, just you mentioning performing as a child as well. Like I was thinking about that and thinking, I miss that, you know, where it was just like this, you couldn't explain. It's like, this is what I need to do, and you do it, and it's like, wow, amazing.
Yeah, and also like as a child, like understanding that that's a skill that you have, that you recognizing that not everybody does this, or not everybody knows how to do it, and you know how to pretend to be somebody else, or you know how to create a moment that, you know, is something. Like that's quite a power. Like I feel like it was like a way to bring my own imaginary world into life, and to show it to people, and to sort of control the world for 2 seconds.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, we've had such a long time without live work. I think, I don't know what that's meant for you. For me, I've really felt like, okay, this is questions that, you know, what and why about, you know, work, any work, artistic work. And so, yeah, do you feel like, are you very hungry to get back into, you know, that moment, that meeting of the...
I am. Yeah, but yeah, the pandemic has done like a weird thing where I feel like there's no rush for anything anymore. But I think, yeah, I am hungry to do it, and to share the work. That's because, like, I found that I've been able to keep working, I've been able to keep creating a show and whatever, but the missing link, of course, is sharing it with the audience, and that's one big reason to do it. So of course, yeah, I'm really hungry for that. And I, from what I gather, I think the audiences are as well. Like there's a real need for live work, and I don't know how you feel in the UK, but like the people that I talk with, after the initial excitement, there's like people are a bit tired of everything happening online, and they're so hungry for live things and the real thing. And I don't think, like, I find it really reassuring. I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere, that need for live arts.
Yeah, me too. And that sort of like magical experience that you can't access in the same way from online. So yeah, thank you so much. It's been so interesting to hear about your process, and I hope that we can get you over here again to Physical Fest.
Oh, I'd love that.
So nice to see. You know, we've loved your work, and see this new piece as well. So yeah, hopefully see you soon.
Thank you so much, and best of luck with the festival.